7 days out, peak week. We are outside the gym waiting for the pre-workout to kick in.
Listen to some good jams.
Renee, I think we've decided that 90s hip-hop rap is the best era, and now we're officially old, because when it'll be like 2040. Well, yeah, the 90s were the best for rap, and we're like, shut up, man. Like, we're doing a push session today. Renee's training legs, like always.
Surprise, surprise.
We'll head in here. We'll walk through a session. Today, look is really good. Look pretty crispy. Really happy with where condition's at. Kind of what the plan was, to come down a couple more pounds from Toronto, and the look's there. So for today, just bringing food up a little bit to see how some extra fullness will look in the morning. And as we go through the training, I'll kind of lay out what overall I'm doing. But let's head in the gym and we'll get this push session rolling. All right, so training for this week. I like to pretty much train every day at peak week except my travel day. So Sunday is push, Monday's pull, Tuesday I usually have off, but Wednesday's my travel day. So Wednesday's gonna be my off day. And what I'm gonna do is take off some of my accessory work on my push and pull days. Normally I do calves and abs a day, so I'm not doing that. On my pull day, I won't do the bicep work, and I'm gonna shift that to Tuesday. So now I'll train kind of like a push, pull, do calves, abs, biceps, maybe a little tricep in there, and then I'll fly out Wednesday. So this session's a little shorter, so it won't be as fatiguing, but nothing else changes in the session. And so I think the level that you need to change your training into peak week just depends on the level of fatigue you're carrying, and also how much volume you've already reduced going into this week. So right now my volume's, I'd say more moderate, but I don't need to scale back anything because I feel really fresh and not fatigued. So volume setup's pretty much the same for today. 4 sets of side delts. So I'm starting with a lateral raise machine, working in the 10 to 15 rep range, and nothing changes. Still like putting high effort in these sets. They're not very taxing. All right, so did a lateral raise. Now I'm moving into my pec fly. So that's been the same on both push days since chest is a priority. I just get more out of my pressing doing a fly first. So doing a prime pec fly, and I kind of load it mid-range, short in position, so I get a good connection before going on to my pressing work. Usually I go to Anytime Fitness today, but man, for being on 7 days out, I need to be in this like competitor environment. No changes here, 3 sets in this 8 to 12 rep range. My diet set up for today, so it's actually really close to what I did with Toronto. Looking back, I think actually this Sunday I hit 500 grams of carbs and 45 grams of fat with like 340 grams of protein. So protein's come down 320 grams. Carbs are actually, I'm hitting 480 grams today, which is a shift up from my last training day I did 450 grams, which only brought me up like 0.2, I think it was 0.4 pounds. So putting a little bit more in, but this peak week's different. I really like my fasted look. And so I don't want to have to do like a big backload, carb load if I don't need to, and really just keep a similar diet, just pull back water a little bit on show day and go out there. But we'll see what happens. All right, next exercise, the Smith latrine flat press. Man, I've been really like this Smith press. I get such a great connection on my chest, just really controlling it on the way down. Slight pause in the bottom. After doing my fly first, man, I get so much chest out of it. But just doing 2 sets here, 8 to 12 reps. And I just adjust the load to stay within that rep range. As far as my like output, cardio steps, no cardio still. Steps I brought down, so I was at 11,000 steps, coming down to 10,000. Probably will keep tapering this down throughout the week. Eventually one day out, I just kind of walk organically, ends up being maybe 6,000 steps for the day. All right, now moving on to an incline press. So I did hammer strength incline press. Very similar setup to the flat press. Just doing 2 sets here, 8 to 12 reps. Slow, controlled, some pauses in the bottom. And I was talking about the backloading earlier and how much food I had to put in, and it very well might happen that I kind of speed up during the week and I need that much food to hold on to body weight. But I think a lot of people make this mistake of trying to pre-plan their peak week too much, to where they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do a backload, and you kind of lose sight of just how do you look when you wake up today, and just assessing the moment. And you might find yourself scaling your peak week according to that look, where maybe you don't need to load. Maybe you need to load a lot, but it might change, and peak week to peak week absolutely can change with the degree of fatigue you're carrying, or how depleted you are, or how not depleted you are. So don't make the mistake of assuming things that you'll need to do. You'll probably have a tentative plan, but also just coach by the day and how you wake up. Last exercise is going to be tricep work. So I'm doing a cable push down, single arm. Single arm, I can really get a good mechanical position and not load my wrist really funny, or my elbow. Do 2 sets, and then 2 sets of a cross body tricep extension. So if I get directly overhead, you usually start having problems with loading the elbow and tendonitis flaring up. So I can still get into that like LinkedIn, long head, tricep position somewhat with my elbow up, but going across the body. So that works really well for me, especially if you're a bigger guy, it's hard to get overhead, you don't have a great external rotation. The cross body position can work out really well. I was talking about peak week mistakes as well, of like just assessing your daily. And I think it's important too that you're not trying to change so many variables in peak week. And that's another mistake I see, is that people are trying to, for one, like pull a bunch of different PDs out, also put in carbohydrate, at the same time changing water, changing sodium. And so when you wake up that next day and you have a look, you're like, well, how did I get there? And you look at the previous day, you change so many variables, it's hard to say what did what. So I think just locking in as much stability as you can in a peak week. You've already adjusted PDs, water stays stable, sodium stays stable, and maybe you're just toggling carbohydrate. So when you wake up on that day, you can look at the previous day and say, well, I did this much carbohydrate, this is the one variable that changed, and what does that mean? And how you adjust for the day. Same thing goes for like waking up on show day. If you woke up and you were flat, what'd you do the day before that caused that result? Like, oh yeah, well, had the same amount of carbs, but I reduced water. It's like, so what should be the fix? Putting back in some water. So it's like, if something changed poorly, look at what you just did and correct that mistake. Same thing goes once you're on show day, like go meal by meal. Some people make the mistake of looking too big picture at what they're gonna do for the whole day and what that did. But on show day, it's a meal by meal assessment. So you put in X amount of meal, X fluids, 90 minutes later, take a look. What happened? Is it better, is it worse? If it's better, rinse and repeat. If it's worse, okay, which way did it go? Too big, too full, still flat, and adjust accordingly. Well, that wraps up the session. We'll head back to the car and get my post-workout in.
Back to the car. How was your session?
It was short. I only had 3 exercises. Felt pretty good.
Good pump?
Good.
Strength up or no? Maintaining?
Maintaining.
Renee's in a mini cutting phase, so we can enjoy food together. So we come to the car, we eat our post-workout, which I'm having, which my food is pretty high. It's a good amount post-workout, 135 grams. Pride Food cream of rice, code J310, 10% off. So that's funny, I do cream of rice. When you're in prep, you'll know there's an art and it takes forever to make your cream of rice. Renee comes out to the car while I'm still microwaving it in there, but
takes forever.
It's 30 grams of maple waffle cream of rice and then 100 grams of unflavored because it's too sweet otherwise. And then 60 grams of animal frosted cinnamon bun whey and 70 grams of banana chopped on top.
It looks gourmet.
It is gourmet. I took my time with it. But you got to cook the cream of rice and it like gets too thick, then you got to put water in, then finally you get it right, then you mix your whey in when it cools down. Then I heat it back up and like it gets kind of crispy on the edges and then it's ready to go. And 20 minutes later, here we are.
Mine is like the complete opposite. It's like,
what is it, oats?
yeah, just oats.
What's the chocolate stuff on top?
Oh, just my 85% dark chocolate. But mine's like a big mess. His is like perfect.
Well, anyway, training session went good, like strength's holding well. Decent pump today. Did some post-workout posing. I think my biggest thing I've seen, my lower back is much crisper than what it was for Toronto. And I just feel like posing's better as well. Better waist control too. Improve my lat spread and my side try. So I just have some good stuff to bring to stage. So happy to bring and take it out there and get it done, right? What are you excited about?
I already told you what I'm excited about.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We can tell them. We splurged and we're flying first class to Vancouver, so we're both excited about it. But to be bougie and have some space when you're going out to a show is really nice. But don't worry, I think on the way back we fly in the cargo hold because we're so poor after that.
We spent all our money.
Yeah. No, just kidding, guys. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. Probably won't see another update till I'm out there in Vancouver and start doing some prep videos. But thank you for all the support, and see you in the next video.